Dustin, aka Demonic Sweaters, and I'm here finally with another Linux tutorial, Linux music making tutorial. And today what I'm going to try to do is a quick kind of getting started, well, I don't know if it'll be quick, we'll see, but getting started tutorial for the program Rosegarden. And Rosegarden is a really cool Midi sequencer for Linux. It's one of the better ones in my opinion, well, for MIDI. It also does audio as well, but the audio portion of it, in my opinion, isn't that great. I mean, it's okay, but really the main strength of this program is MIDI. So what I wanted to do was show basically how to get started creating some music with MIDI and Rosegarden. And before we even open up Rosegarden, though, what we're going to need to do is install another program called Synth, and that is actually a graphical front end to another program called Fluid Synth. But if you just install Synth, Linux is smart enough to figure out, or Ubuntu is smart enough to figure out that you need Fluid Synth as well. So let's just search Synth, and actually it's not going to work here. I was going to try to do it graphically for a change, just to make it a little easier for you guys, but that thing never seems to work for me. So let's go back into the terminal, and this is how I prefer to do it anyways. First let's do sudo apt get update, and it's going to update the package sources. Now I'm using Ubuntu 18.04.1 LTS, and this is on my Dell Inspiron 5000. And actually, if you're interested in learning how to install it on this exact computer, I made a couple of videos very recently about that. And so yeah, okay, so we got that updated. Let's search apt-cache search Synth, and there it is. So just going to do sudo apt get install Synth. Now I have no idea why some programs don't show up in the Ubuntu Software Center. It's been that way since 16.04, I think. I think actually since they introduced like the snaps package installing thing, like it just seems like some of them are missing, and they're still available. It's just they don't show up in the Software Center for some reason. But it doesn't really stop you from getting it. I mean, you can do it this way anyways. And for me, I prefer installing software through the terminal, just because I think it does it faster, and you can see what's going on. If there's an error or something like that, it'll tell you what happened, and it's just, I don't know, I just prefer it. Every now and then I'll use the Software Center. It's kind of cool. What I like about the Software Center is, like, you know, being able to just browse, you know, programs and stuff that I didn't know existed, and it'll suggest things and things like that. So it is pretty cool too. So okay, I got that installed. So I already have Jack running, and that's this up here. And this is another program that you should know about. Before you even try to do this, you're going to have Jack and QJack control up and running and configured for this to even work. So if you don't know how to do that, you can go back through some of my older videos, and I'll try to post a link here too, and I explain what Jack is and how to get it working and all of that. And there's a lot of videos on YouTube about it. But to just summarize, Jack is basically a audio connection interface for Linux, and it is also a low latency audio system or driver as well. And this you see in the middle here is my screen recorder. I'm using Simple Screen Recorder to record, which is a great screen recorder. I wish something like this existed for Windows, but nothing really does that's free. I mean, there's good ones that you can buy, but nothing this good for free. But anyway, so I can just minimize that, get that out of the way. And the first thing we're going to do is open up Synth before we even open up Rosegarden. So let's tap my Windows key that opens that little thingy. Let's open this up. And I'm going to click on Setup here and go to Sound Fonts. And what Synth is, it's a sound font player. Basically, sound fonts are collections of samples, and they're in a specific format, and they're kind of old school, but they're actually pretty active in the Linux world. And I'm just going to use the Fluid default sound font, so everybody has this that's watching this tutorial. And if you just click open, it should automatically find it there. And just click OK. And then it's going to ask you to restart the engine. Just click yes. Okay, now we have our Fluid Synth sound font loaded. So now we're going to open up Rosegarden. Okay, and this is the first time I've opened it on this computer. So we'll see how it works, and it's giving me a little warning there. Let's see. Created audio path. Oh, that's fine. Okay, so let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do after we have Rosegarden open is we're going to want to open up the transport. And to do that, you just press the letter T for transport on your keyboard, and that opens that up. And you'll see here the metronome symbol is this little thing that looks like a metronome. So let's go ahead and turn that on and press play. You should, if you did this the way that I just showed you, you should be hearing a click. Now, see, the thing about Rosegarden that's a little bit weird, in order to have a click, you need Fluid Synth running. And so you'll notice here, you see that little light that's lighting up, then that's showing you that that click is being routed to Fluid Synth for the Midi device. And that's why I wanted to load that particular Midi, or that sound font rather, as well, because it has all the default, it's a general Midi sound font. So hopefully you know what that is, but if you don't, general Midi is just a standardized form of Midi that has certain sounds on certain channels. And so Rosegarden uses general Midi for its click features. Okay, so hopefully that works, and if that works, you're set up. You're pretty much good to go. You can start making music. So what we're going to do is, if we just sort of, let me move this over here. Let's check our first track here, and if we highlight the first track that you're on, you can see playback parameters here on the left, and you see general Midi device, and it's going to have the acoustic grand piano as the main, the first instrument rather, for number one. And then what you could do is, if you look down here, instrument parameters, you can actually change the program, and this, you'll see all the different sounds for that particular channel on the or on the general Midi. So if you change this to number 10, then you'll get, basically number 10 is going to be drum samples, because 10 is always drum samples in general Midi. Now let me see if my Midi controller is actually working. It is. So luckily, I mean, hopefully this goes this easy for you when you try to do this, but this is like the first time I've ever used this setup, and everything's working like immediately, which is nice. So I have my Midi controller plugged in, and let me show you what it is here. It's one of these little Akai MPK mini Midi controllers, and these things are great. They're tiny, and they have pads on them and keys, and they're really cool. So got some drum sounds there. Okay, so once you have that all hooked up, hopefully everything will be working for you as easily as it is for me. You can hear the drums there. And the cool thing about the Fluid Synth default sound font is it actually sounds pretty good. Like, a lot of the sounds in here are pretty decent, and especially if you you know, mess around with it a bit, you can get it sounding pretty nice. So what I'm going to do is actually create a simple drum beat here. And what I'm going to do first is just play back so I can hear some tempo. Alright, just a little practice run there. So let me rewind, and I'm going to go ahead and record. Okay, So one thing with Rosegarden, when you press the space bar, it stops recording, but the cursor keeps going, which is kind of annoying, I think. So you have to actually press stop in order for that to stop. So let me just go back to the beginning, and you'll notice it didn't record the stuff where I was not playing, which is nice. So what I'm going to do now is open this up, and you'll notice if you just double click it, it brings it up in the default view, which is Notation Editor. And some of you may like that, some of you may not like that. I would say probably the majority of you are not going to like that, but it is a pretty cool feature, especially if you want to learn about notation. But you don't need to do it that way. What you can do is right click it and go open up in Matrix Editor, or you can do Percussion Matrix Editor. I'm going to show you both of them. So let's do Matrix Editor first. And this is a pretty standard looking piano roll type MIDI editor, and it's really nice. It's very clean. It's definitely one of the better ones on the Linux platform. Let me increase that a little bit. And you can zoom in using these things down here. And you can go big or sorry, you can go tall or wider. What I want to do is quantize this, so I'm going to press Control and then the letter A on my keyboard, and that selects all. And then what I'm going to do is go to quantize here and then go to 16th. And you'll notice it moved all those to quantize to the grid, so they'll be perfectly on time. And let's rewind it and hear it. Yeah, and it did a really good job on the quantization. Sometimes, you know, certain programs miss some of that, you know, and don't really get it exactly right, and you have to move stuff around, but Rosegarden quantization works really, really well. Okay, so we have that quantized, and now just for the sake of showing you, I'm going to right-click again and go to the Percussion Matrix Editor. And this is almost the same. It just basically gives you dots rather than you know, bars like for regular piano roll. And to me, I never really use this one. I'm fine with the other one. But if this, you know, is a little bit easier for you for some reason, you can use that. Okay, so let's go ahead and name this one Drums. And now what I'm going to do is select track 2, and these little dots here, I should just explain these to you. You have solo, and then record, and mute. So the yellow button is record, and I'm just going to go ahead and record or select record for this one. Okay, so let me just explain these track parameters a little bit. What you're looking at here, well, let me go back to the drum channel. It's saying general MIDI device, and then instrument is number 10. So that is it's basically going to be the MIDI channel for that particular track. Now, if we click on this one, it's going to default to number 2, and that is actually fine for this track. You can leave that on number 2, or you could change it to 1, or any of these other ones you want, but there's really no reason to. Just always remember that in general MIDI, 10 is always going to be drums. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go down here, and I'm going to select a different voice because I really don't want to use just, you know, acoustic grand piano. It's kind of boring to me. So I want to pick something else. And if you use your mouse wheel, you'll see there's a ton of sounds in here. 128. And let's hear some of these. Well, actually, no, I want to do a bass first. So let me find a bass sound. Let's do, where is it? Fretless bass. Let's try that. Oh, it's Jocko. Okay, so pretty cheesy, but whatever. I kind of like cheese. So let's play this back, and I'm just going to try to practice something. Oops, have to rewind first. And another thing, well, I should show you this while I'm at it because it makes practicing easier. If you hold down Shift, is it Shift? Yeah, if you hold down Shift on your keyboard and click in this gray area here, and then drag it, it will loop the area that is selected there. So let me play this back. Man, I can't remember if there's something I need to do to activate that. Oh yeah, we have to. Loop is already on, so you can see that just by selecting that, it created the loop there. So this should loop around once it gets going, or gets to the end. Yeah, okay. So now I can practice this part. Go down an octave. I kind of clipped my beat in a weird spot there. Let me fix that. Alright, let's try this. So that's good enough for me. Let me just go ahead and record that. Go back to the beginning. Oops, sorry. I want to turn off loop here because I don't want to loop over what I record, and plus I want to be able to get those clicks before it starts. So go back to the beginning. Oops. Oops, I accidentally pressed stop. That's okay, we did enough. And what I can do here is show you how to fix a mistake. So let's right click and bring this up in the matrix editor. You'll notice on my first note, I accidentally hit two notes at the same time. So let's just select that and then press delete on the keyboard and it deletes it. And then we also want to quantize this as well. Now let's play this. Rewind, sorry. Okay, so what I want is actually, I just want those the first 4 bars there. So what I want to do then is just trim this. Let me put my loop back on so I can hear if that's what I want. Let me go further than that. I want to have twice that amount. Okay. And that will work for me. Let me just shrink this. All you do to shrink these is you just select the edge and drag it. And you can also, I believe you can split them as well. Let me see if I remember how to do this. Split. So you could do F7. It tells you all the keyboard shortcuts right here. So I'm going to do a split on this one. And then you'll notice that little blue line just snaps to the grid. So I'm going to split that right there. And then I'm going to delete that section. So let me go back to the select and edit tool. Oops. Not what I wanted to do. Control Z does undo. Both were highlighted, that's why I deleted both. See how both are highlighted there, but let's just highlight the one we want to delete and delete that. Okay, so here's a really cool thing. You can actually hold down the control key on your keyboard and then click on one of the MIDI events and just drag it over, and that will just copy that over there. So now if I do this on both of these and drag that over to there, and then let's create a new loop region of both of those and play it back. so kind of sounds like something in like an old John Carpenter movie or something, like They Live or something like that. But so now let's just put a little variation to this. So let's take this copied fretless bass track, and I'm going to open this up in the matrix editor again, and scroll down to where you can see it. Let's select all of these notes, and then what I'm going to do is go to Adjust, and then go to Transpose, and then Transpose by semitones, and then I'm going to do this by 5 semitones. Actually, I'm going to do it down instead of up. Actually, no, let's do 3. 3 semitones should be enough. And now you'll notice it moved all of those down by 3 semitones. So let's play back our loop region now and hear how it sounds. We have a little variation going on. Now let's get it. Now let's do something. Let's give it a little more variation. So let's go to track 3 now. Let's call this one bass or fretless bass. And then let's go to track 3. And oh, whoops, selecting the wrong area. Let's go here and change this one to, I don't know. Let's pick a synth or something. Something cool sounding. Pad 5. Let's see how that sounds. That's pretty cool. Not bad. Let's hear another one. Pad 6, metallic. Oh, I like that one. Okay. So now I just want to loop. I want to change my loop region again. I'm going to change this just to the first section before the key change. So let's play that back. Rosegarden is while it's playing like that, if you just press the space bar while it's playing, it will actually start recording. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That way I can not stop and just keep playing and press record when I'm ready. It's really weird. I changed it to the bass. Oh, because I'm an idiot. Because I still had bass. I still had fretless bass selected for recording. So that's exactly what happened right there. So let me delete that. Go back into here. So let's try this again. that while it's playing. Let me stop playing it and go over there. Okay, let's play this back because I want to think of something for this part. Let me delete that one. Let's go ahead and hear back with the whole phrase in there. Hold down Shift. Oops. Now let's play this. And now what's very cool is you can keep layering tracks, and then it's really easy to move these clips around and just kind of give it a different arrangement. But I'm not going to do that yet. Let's just call this one what is this, metallic pad. Okay, and then let's save it again. And let's do one more track before we start moving stuff around and creating some kind of arrangement. So let's select this one. Make sure we select record the correct way. And for here, I don't know, what do I want? FX2 soundtrack. Let's see what that sounds like. Pretty cool. But we already have a pad type sound, so let's pick something else. Steel drums? Sure, let's do that one. Let's give it the full-on cheesy 80s feel, soundtrack feel. It's like a tropical sci-fi action film. Okay, so pretty much like the last time, what I want to do is select it, just one segment at a time, so I can practice just that part and then come up with something. So let's go ahead and play this back, and I'm going to try to come up with some cheesy steel drum part for this first section. Let's go up a little bit, octave. Alright, so I'm going to have to zoom in to edit out. Now, of course, I could just re-record this. It would be much easier, but it's good just to see all the editing. So there's an extra. Oops. That was weird. Don't know why that's... Oh, because I have quantize on. Let's get rid of that. Oops. Okay. I'm just going to record this again. Let's do that. Alright, so let me just play this back and try to come up with some cheesy steel drum part. Let's select this next section, come up with a part for that. So, how about for drums? We have, these two basic drum parts. So, let's expand. Oh, let me save and name my other track here, steel drum. Okay, and then now let's select drums again. And I just want to put like a little more stuff in there. So, let me play this back. let me select this first part, and I'm going to put some other drums in here as well. And the neat thing is, you notice when you record a second track, a second MIDI track over another MIDI track in Rosegarden, it just literally adds another layer to the same track. So you don't record over what you just did, and it doesn't merge it with the other one that you just did. So that enables you to do some really cool stuff. Like you could take this one and move it over here, or you could, you know, copy just that and put it somewhere else. Like it opens up a lot of possibilities as far as copying and pasting MIDI. And this is one of the things I really do like about Rosegarden. So let me just play back this first part and come up with something in here. Definitely going to use that. Liking where this is going. It's like Commando or so. It's just really funny, but I really sincerely do like it. So okay, so now we have that. Oh, let me make sure it's like decently on time. So now what I'm going to do, let's turn off loop. We have all these little sections, and it would be pretty boring if it just played those two things over and over again. So what I want to do is actually take what we recorded here. Let me maximize my screen, give myself give myself a little more room. And what I want to do is select everything in here. So I'm going to click on one, then press Control A. And I want to move all of these over just to give myself some room. So move them probably even further than that. Okay, let's go about to here. Now what I want to do is select outside of those to deselect them. And I want to take my first drum part and my first bass part, hold down Shift, you can select both. I want to copy these to the beginning. And I want these to go like 2 times just on their own. Rewind this back. Okay, so even though I recorded that whole section as the second section, I think I want that to be part A, really. So I'm going to go ahead and move all of this stuff down. Ooh, I don't want to do that. Never mind. I want to slide these over just to get them out of the way, give myself some more space again. And I'm going to continue this going. Actually, I'm going to select all of them so I can copy all of this one more time. Hold down Control, slide over. Now we just doubled that whole section. Okay. And for these two, the ones that are still highlighted, I want that the other tracks basically come in there. Or maybe just, okay, so I'm just going to do the pad and which one? I can't remember what these are. Let's see. Oh yeah, so the steel drum and the pad. Copy that, drag that over to here. I think that's where it was. Let me go over a little bit. Yeah, so I want those there. And then I want this just on this one. Let me, oh yeah, you just sort of, it's weird. You just have to drag it over top of that one and it'll automatically put it down where it needs to be. And then for here, I also want these again. Hopefully this is making sense. Okay, so now let's go back to the beginning and hear how that sounds. Okay, so this actually I think could go, that's not quite in the right spot. I'll put that right there. These guys I think could come in the one before that. So I'm going to copy these over to here. Oops. Oh, I really screwed that up. Control Z. Okay. Put that there. So that comes in a little bit earlier. And actually, I don't want the steel drum to come in on the first one. Just the synth. Okay, so now let's hear how that sounds. A little bit more atmospheric. So right there is where I want the key change to come in now. So let's go ahead and copy all of this stuff. Actually, no, I'm just going to slide them over. I don't want to copy them. So let's select all of these. I'm just going to slide them over to here. Make sure I have enough space. I'm going to move all these guys over. And as you can see, arrangement editing is very easy. It's fast and easy, which is nice. So let's rewind this back to the beginning and here. Okay, so, you know, you get the idea. I could easily go back to that first part, add some more stuff. I can add some more atmosphere on other tracks. Now, this is just intended to be a very basic getting started tutorial for Rosegarden, so I don't think I'm going to go too much further than this. But I am going to make some more because I really, really do like this program. It's been around for a really long time. It's got kind of an old school vibe to it, which I like a lot. Like, it's kind of reminds me of kind of really old MIDI editors. But I like that. It's fun for me, and I think it has a lot of interesting features that I didn't even get into tonight. There's some time stretching that you can do that does some really interesting stuff to audio, as well as using your own custom sound fonts and things like that, where you can really do some pretty cool stuff. So we'll get into that later on, but for now I'm just going to leave it as this. But I think that was pretty good, and hopefully you guys learned some stuff. And if you did, feel free to subscribe and click like on my channel. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, just feel free to let me know. And I'll see you guys next time. This is Justin, aka Demonic Sweaters, signing out. Have a good night, everybody.